In the crimson light of dawn, when the first rays touched the ancient city of Camara, a healer knelt in the sand, unaware that the Sun King himself was watching her. By sunrise her life would change forever. This is the story of Amara, the woman who never sought glory, but whom destiny marked anyway. The city of Camara rises from the golden desert like a mirage made real. Sandstone towers catch the morning light, their surfaces glowing amber and honey. Market stalls line narrow streets where merchants call out their wares, spices, woven fabrics dyed in ochre and crimson, clay pottery stamped with solar symbols. The air smells of cardamomo, roasted grain, and the ever-present dust that dances in shafts of sunlight. This is a city built on ancient foundations, where every stone remembers the songs of those who came before. The people here live by the rhythm of the sun, rising with its light, resting in its peak heat, celebrating its descent. They honor the old ways, the sacred covenant between humanity and the celestial powers that govern this vast, burning world. And in the poorest quarter of Camara, in a small dwelling carved into the base of a weathered cliff, lives Amara. Amara's home is simple. Woven rugs cover the packed earth floor. Clay jars line shelves carved into the stone walls, each filled with dried herbs, powdered roots, and salves she has prepared with her own hands. A single window faces east, allowing the morning sun to flood the space with warm golden light. She is 28 years old. With sun-bronzed skin and dark hair, she keeps braided away from her face. Her hands are calloused from grinding medicines, from gathering desert plants in the heat, from tending to wounds and fevers. Her eyes are deep brown, thoughtful, holding a quiet strength that comes not from power, but from witnessing suffering and choosing compassion anyway. Amara learned her craft from her grandmother, who learned from her grandmother before that, a lineage of healers stretching back beyond memory. She possesses no mystical abilities, no divine marks, no connection to the totems that others speak of in whispered reverence. She is ordinary, and she has made peace with that. She speaks softly to herself as she grinds dried sage in a mortar, enough for 3 more poultices. Old Karim's leg wound needs changing today, and the merchant's daughter, her fever should break by evening if the cooling paste works. She works methodically, her movements practiced and sure. Outside, the city awakens. Children's laughter echoes through the streets. A water seller calls out, his voice rhythmic and melodic. Somewhere distant, a temple bell rings 3 times, marking the hour of rising. Amara pauses in her work, closing her eyes and breathing deeply. She whispers a simple prayer, not to the Sun Kings or the ancient totems, but to the desert itself, to the spirit of healing that flows through all living things. Let my hands bring relief. Let my presence bring comfort. That is enough. But the universe has a way of disrupting the plans of the humble. A knock sounds at her door, sharp, urgent, desperate. Amara opens the door to find a young guard, barely 16, his face flushed from running. His uniform bears the crimson sun emblem of the palace, the mark of the Sun King's personal retinue. Sweat drips down his temples. His eyes are wide with something between fear and awe. Healer Amara, you must come. Immediately, the Sun King himself requests your presence. Amara steps back, startled. The Sun King? There must be some mistake. There is no mistake, the guard interrupts, breathing hard. Please, you must hurry. Someone in the royal household has fallen gravely ill. The court physicians cannot help. Your name was spoken. Amara's heart pounds against her ribs. The Sun King, Lord Zakir, the ruler of Kemara and all the southern territories, the man who bears the sacred mark of the solar lion upon his chest, a mark granted by the totems themselves, proof of his divine right to lead. She has never seen him except from a great distance during festival processions, a figure of gold and crimson atop a stallion surrounded by guards and advisors. She is a healer from the poor quarter. What could he possibly want with her? She steadies herself. Let me gather my supplies. She moves quickly, filling a leather satchel with herbs, oils, clean linen strips, and a small clay jar of her grandmother's most potent healing salve, made from rare desert flowers that bloom only once a year beneath the full moon. Her hands tremble slightly as she works, but she forces herself to breathe, to center her mind. Whatever awaits her at the palace, she will face it with the same calm determination she brings to every patient, every wound, every fever. She follows the guard out into the blazing morning sun. The streets of Kemara transform as they move from the outer quarter toward the city's heart. The buildings grow taller, more ornate. Solar motifs decorate every surface, carved lions with manes like sunbursts, geometric patterns representing the eternal cycle of day and night, murals depicting the ancient covenant between the first Sun Kings and the feline totems. People stop and stare as Amara passes, recognizing the palace guard's uniform. Whispers follow in her wake. Who is she? Why is she being summoned? The questions hang in the air like the heat itself, shimmering and unrelenting. Amara keeps her gaze forward, her chin lifted, though uncertainty churns in her stomach. They reach the palace gates, massive structures of bronze worked into the shape of two lions standing guard, their faces turned toward the rising sun. The guards stationed there nod at her escort and pull the gates open without a word. The hinges groan, a deep sound that seems to echo from the earth itself. Beyond lies a courtyard paved with white stone that reflects the sunlight so brilliantly it almost hurts to look at. Fountains burble, their water precious and rare, a display of the Sun King's wealth and power. Date palms provide scattered shade, their fronds rustling in the hot breeze. Servants move through the space with quiet efficiency, carrying trays, tending to plants, their clothing fine but practical, marked with the solar emblem. The palace itself is a marvel. 3 stories of sandstone and marble, its walls carved with intricate reliefs showing the history of Kemara. The first Sun King receiving his mark from the solar lion, battles against shadow creatures from the deep desert, celebrations of harvest and rain, ceremonies of coronation and remembrance. Golden accents gleam along doorways and window frames. Silk banners in crimson and gold hang from the battlements, rippling in the wind like flames. This is a place of power, of legacy, of the divine made manifest in stone and metal and light. The guard leads Amara through a side entrance, away from the grand main hall. They move through corridors where the air is cooler, almost cold after the intensity of the sun outside. Oil lamps flicker in wall sconces, casting dancing shadows. Their footsteps echo on polished floors. Amara notices details as they pass. A vase of desert roses, their petals a deep purple, a tapestry showing the night panther beneath a crescent moon, a window looking out over the city below, Kimara spread like a jewel against the golden dunes beyond. She has lived her entire life in this city, yet from this height it looks different, smaller, more fragile. She can see the trade roads stretching out into the desert, thin lines connecting this place to others she has only heard of in stories. For a moment, she feels dizzy with the perspective. They stop before a heavy wooden door banded with iron. The guard knocks twice, pauses, then knocks once more. A voice from within, low and commanding, calls out, "Enter." The guard pushes the door open and gestures for Amara to go inside. He does not follow. The door closes behind her with a solid thud, and she is alone in a chamber lit by dozens of candles, their flames steady and bright. The room is smaller than she expected, more intimate. Shelves line the walls, filled with scrolls, books bound in leather, strange objects she cannot immediately identify. A chunk of crystal that seems to hold light within it, a carved wooden mask, a blade with symbols etched along its length. A large desk dominates one side of the room, covered in maps and documents, and in the center, kneeling beside a low bed, is a man. He turns to look at her, and Amara's breath catches. Lord Zakir, the Sun King himself. He is younger than she imagined, perhaps 35, with strong features and eyes the color of amber in firelight. His dark hair is tied back, and he wears simple clothing, not the ceremonial robe she has seen in processions. But even in plain linen, he radiates authority, and there, visible at the open collar of his shirt, is the mark, a golden lion, its lines seeming to shimmer with their own light, as if alive beneath his skin. He stands, and Amara instinctively bows, lowering her gaze. "Please," he says, and his voice is gentler than she expected. "There is no time for formalities. My daughter needs help." Only then does Amara look past him to the bed. A child lies there, perhaps 7 years old, her small form nearly lost in the white linens. Her skin is pale, too pale, with a grayish tinge that speaks of serious illness. Her breathing is shallow and rapid. Dark circles shadow her eyes. Her hair, black and fine, is damp with fever sweat. Amara's healer instincts override everything else. She moves forward, setting her satchel down and kneeling beside the bed. "May I examine her?" she asks, and Zakir nods, stepping back to give her room. Amara places her hand gently on the child's forehead. Burning hot, but the skin is dry, no longer producing sweat despite the fever. Not good. She lifts the girl's eyelids carefully, checking the color of her eyes. Yellowing. She presses her fingers to the pulse point at the child's wrist. Thready, too fast, inconsistent. She pulls back the covers and examines the girl's abdomen, pressing gently in different places. The child whimpers but does not wake. A swelling on the right side. Amara sits back on her heels, her mind racing through everything she knows, every lesson her grandmother taught her. What symptoms appeared first? She asks, her voice steady and professional. Zakir moves closer, his face tight with worry. 3 days ago, she complained of stomach pain. We thought it was something she ate. Then the fever came. Yesterday she stopped being able to keep water down. The court physicians tried bloodletting, tried cooling baths, tried every remedy they know. Nothing works. She grows worse by the hour. Amara nods slowly, pieces fitting together. She has seen this before, twice in her years of healing. A dangerous condition, often fatal if not treated quickly. The organ on the right side of the abdomen becomes inflamed, fills with poison. If it bursts, death follows within days. There is only one treatment, and it is risky. She looks up at Zachar, meeting his eyes directly. Your Majesty, I believe I know what afflicts her. There is an organ here. She gestures to the right side, small and seemingly without purpose. Sometimes it becomes diseased. The poison must be drawn out, or... She trails off, unable to say the word. Zachar's face goes even paler. Or she will die. Yes. What can be done? There is a treatment. It requires a paste made from a specific combination of herbs and minerals. It must be applied directly to the skin over the affected area and left for many hours. It will draw out the infection, bring it to the surface where the body can expel it. But I must be honest with you, it is painful. She will suffer before she heals, and there is no guarantee it will work. Zachar does not hesitate. Do it, whatever she needs. Amara reaches for her satchel, pulling out components. She works quickly but carefully, grinding dried roots into powder, mixing in oils, adding a pinch of crushed minerals from a small pouch. The paste that forms is dark green, almost black, with a sharp medicinal smell. As she works, she explains what she is doing, partly for Zachar's benefit, partly to organize her own thoughts. This root reduces inflammation. This oil helps the paste penetrate the skin. These minerals draw out toxins. My grandmother learned this treatment from a Lunarist mystic many years ago. It is old knowledge from before the current age. She finishes mixing and tests the consistency, adding a few more drops of oil until it is right. She turns to the child. I need to apply this now. She will likely wake, and she will be frightened and in pain. Can you hold her hand? Speak to her? Zachar nods and moves to the other side of the bed, taking his daughter's small hand in both of his. Amara carefully pulls aside the child's sleeping gown, exposing her abdomen. The swelling is more visible now, a distinct bulge. She scoops paste onto her fingers and begins to apply it, spreading it in a thick layer over the affected area. The reaction is immediate. The child's eyes fly open, and she cries out a sound of pure distress. Zachar leans close, his voice urgent but soothing. Naya, I am here. Father is here. You are safe. Be brave, my little light. Be brave. The girl, Naya, writhes weakly, trying to pull away from the burning sensation of the paste, but she is too weak to do more than twist slightly. Tears stream down her face. Amara works as quickly as she can, covering the entire area, then placing a clean cloth over it to hold the paste in place. It is done. Now we wait. The next few hours will tell us if this works. Zachar looks at Amara, and she sees raw fear in his eyes, the fear of a father who might lose his child. Thank you, he says quietly, for coming, for trying. Amara inclines her head. I am a healer. This is what I do, whether in the palace or the poorest home. All lives are equally precious. Something shifts in Zachar's expression, a flicker of surprise, perhaps respect. He looks down at his daughter, stroking her hair, as her cries slowly diminish to whimpers. Amara settles onto a cushion nearby, preparing for a long vigil. She will need to check the paste every hour, reapply if necessary, monitor Naya's fever and breathing. There's nothing to do now but wait and watch and hope. The hours pass slowly. Sunlight moves across the floor as the day progresses, the angle of the beams changing, growing steeper, then beginning to slant the other way. Zachar does not leave his daughter's side. Servants come and go quietly, bringing water, bringing food that goes mostly untouched. At one point, an advisor appears in the doorway, mentioning some urgent matter that requires the Sun King's attention. Zakir dismisses him with a single gesture, not even looking away from Naya. Nothing is more urgent than this. The advisor bows and retreats. Amara changes the paste twice, noting that the second time there is less reaction from Naya, as if the initial shock is worn off or the medicine is beginning to work. She checks the child's pulse regularly. Still too fast, but perhaps slightly stronger. She cannot be certain. As the afternoon light fades toward evening, Amara notices something, a change in Naya's breathing. It is deeper, more regular. She moves closer, pressing her hand to the child's forehead. The fever has broken. Sweat beads on Naya's skin, soaking into the linens. But this is the good sweat, the body's way of cooling itself, of returning to balance. Amara peels back the cloth covering the paste and examines the skin beneath. The swelling has reduced noticeably. The paste has drawn out a dark substance, poison, expelled from the infected organ. She feels a surge of relief so intense it makes her dizzy. "Your Majesty," she says softly, and Zakir looks up, his face haggard with worry and exhaustion. "The fever has broken. The treatment is working. I believe she will recover." For a moment, Zakir simply stares at her as if unable to process the words. Then he closes his eyes, his shoulders sagging with the release of tension held for days. When he opens his eyes again, they are bright with unshed tears. He looks down at Naya, who sleeps peacefully now, her color already improving. "Thank you," he whispers, his voice rough. "Thank you." "I do not know how to repay such a debt." Amara shakes her head. "There is no debt. I did what any healer would do." But even as she says it, she knows it is not quite true. The court physicians, for all their training, did not know this treatment. If she had not come, if that young guard had not knocked on her door this morning, Naya would likely have died. The thought is sobering. Zakir stands, moving around the bed to face Amara directly. He reaches for her hand, and she is too surprised to pull away. He turns her hand palm up, looking at the calluses, the stains from herbs, the evidence of her work. "These hands saved my daughter's life. You say there is no debt, but I disagree. You have given me back the most precious thing in my world. Name your reward. Anything within my power to grant is yours." Amara feels overwhelmed. Reward? She had not thought of such a thing. She opened her mouth to say she needed nothing, but Zakir continues. "Would you have gold? A house in the upper city? A title? Or perhaps there is something you need for your work, supplies, access to rare medicines?" Amara considers. There is so much she could ask for. Her small home is cramped and poorly ventilated. She often lacks the funds to purchase the ingredients for more complex remedies. 100 practical needs run through her mind. But what emerges from her lips surprises even herself. "I would like access to the palace library. I have heard it contains medical texts from across the known world. If I could study them, learn from them, I could help more people. I could be a better healer." Zakir nods slowly. "Granted, you will have full access to the library, including the restricted sections. I will inform the head archivist personally. Is there nothing else? Nothing for yourself?" Amara smiles slightly. "Knowledge is for myself. It is the greatest gift I could receive." Zakir studies her for a long moment, and she has the sense that he is seeing her truly for the first time, not just as the healer who saved his daughter, but as a person with her own values, her own path. "You are unusual, Healer Amara. Most would ask for wealth or status. You ask for books. I think," he pauses, choosing his words carefully, "I think the totems guided you to my door today. And I think they are not finished with you yet." Amara feels a chill despite the warmth of the room. "What do you mean?" Zakir turns away, looking out the window at the darkening sky, where the first stars are beginning to appear. "Have you ever wondered about the marks? The symbols that appear on those chosen by the totems?" Amara has wondered, of course, as everyone wonders. The marks are rare, appearing perhaps once in a generation, sometimes less. They grant abilities, connections to the ancient totems, the great feline spirits that govern different aspects of the world. The Sun King's mark connects him to the solar land, granting him strength, authority, the ability to inspire and lead. Others bear different marks, each unique. But such things are for the chosen, not for ordinary healers from poor quarters. "I have thought about them," Amara answers carefully, "but they are not for people like me. I have no royal blood, no destiny. I am content with my path." Zakir turns back to her, his amber eyes intense. The marks do not care about royal blood. They appear where they are needed, on those who embody the qualities that totems value: courage, compassion, wisdom. "I believe you may be marked before long, whether you seek it or not." Amara laughs, a nervous sound. "Your Majesty, I appreciate your faith in me, but I think you are mistaken. I am just a healer." "Just a healer," Zakir repeats, a hint of amusement in his voice. "You say that as if it is a small thing. But you saved a life today that all the wealth and power of my position could not save. There is nothing small about that." Before Amara can respond, Naya stirs, her eyes fluttering open. "Father?" she murmurs, her voice weak but clear. Zakir is at her side instantly, taking her hand, smoothing her hair. "I am here, little light. You are safe. You have been ill, but you are getting better now." Naya's gaze drifts to Amara, confused. "Who is she?" "This is Amara. She is the healer who made you well." "You must thank her." Naya's eyes, so like her father's, focus on Amara with a child's directness. "Thank you for helping me. It hurt, but I feel better now." Amara moves closer, smiling gently. "You were very brave. You're going to heal completely, but you must rest and drink plenty of water. Can you do that for me?" Naya nods solemnly. "Yes, I promise." "Good. Then I will leave you with your father, but I will return tomorrow to check on you and change your dressing." Zakir stands as Amara gathers her satchel. "A servant will show you to a guest chamber. You will stay in the palace tonight. It is too late to return to your home, and I would have you close in case Naya needs you." Amara wants to refuse, uncomfortable with such luxury, but she recognizes the wisdom in staying near her patient. She bows. "As you wish, Your Majesty. Thank you." The servant, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, leads Amara through more corridors to a room that takes her breath away. It is not large by palace standards, but compared to her own home, it is palatial. A real bed with a thick mattress, woven blankets in rich colors. A basin with fresh water for washing. A wardrobe. A small table with 2 chairs. a window with glass panes that look out over the city. Lamps provide warm light. The air smells of lavender and clean linen. The servant shows her where everything is, asks if she needs anything, then bows and leaves. Amara stands in the center of the room, feeling displaced, as if she has stepped into someone else's life. She sets down her satchel and moves to the window. Below, Kemara glitters with lamplight, a constellation of flames against the darkness. Beyond the city walls, the desert stretches endlessly, lit by a half-moon that casts silver across the dunes. Somewhere out there, beyond the edges of the known world, ancient ruins hold secrets of those who came before. Somewhere the great totems roam in their eternal vigil. And here, in this room, she stands at the threshold of something she does not yet understand. She does not sleep well that night, her mind too active, replaying the events of the day, wondering about Zakir's words, about marks and destiny and purposes greater than the small life she has built for herself. When she finally drifts into an uneasy sleep, she dreams of lions with manes of fire, of panthers made of shadow and starlight, of a voice that speaks her name in a language she does not know, but somehow understands. "Wake up," the voice says. "Your time has come." She wakes with a gasp as the first light of dawn touches the horizon, her heart pounding, her skin filmed with sweat. She tells herself it was just a dream, nothing more. But when she rises and goes to the basin to wash her face, she catches sight of her reflection in the polished metal mirror hanging on the wall, and her breath stops. There, on her left shoulder, just visible above the neckline of her sleeping gown, is a mark. It glows faintly in the dawn light, golden lines forming the shape of a running cheetah, its body stretched in mid-stride, its spots rendered in intricate detail. As she stares, the mark seems to pulse with warmth, with energy, as if something alive moves beneath her skin. The winged cheetah, the totem of swiftness, of healing that comes like a sudden breeze, of changes that arrive in an instant and alter everything. She has been marked. Her hands shake as she touches the symbol, half expecting it to be a trick of the light, something she imagined. But it is real. She can feel it, a connection to something vast and ancient, a presence at the edge of her consciousness, like a voice waiting to speak. She sinks onto the edge of the bed, mind reeling. How? Why? She is no one special. She is just a healer. The words echo hollowly, now, just a healer. Perhaps Zakir was right. Perhaps the totems do not choose based on birth or status, but on something else, something she still does not fully grasp. A knock at the door startles her. She pulls her shawl around her shoulders, covering the mark instinctively, though she is not sure why. "Come in." The door opens to reveal a different servant, a young man bearing a tray with breakfast, flatbread, dates, cheese, a pot of tea. He sets it on the table, bows, and speaks. "The Sun King requests your presence in the healing chamber when you are ready. The princess had a peaceful night, but he wishes you to examine her." Amara nods, trying to keep her voice steady. "I will come shortly. Thank you." The servant leaves. Amara forces herself to eat, though the food tastes like sand in her mouth. She changes into her own clothing, carefully arranging her shawl to keep the mark hidden. She does not know why she feels the need for secrecy, only that showing it feels dangerous, exposing, as if revealing something sacred and private before she understands what it means. She makes her way back to Naya's room, which is easier now that she has some sense of the palace layout. The corridors are busier in the morning, servants moving with purpose, guards stationed at intersections, advisors hurrying with scrolls and tablets. A few glance at her curiously, but most ignore her, absorbed in their own duties. She reaches the door and knocks. Zakir's voice calls for her to enter. Inside, the scene is much more hopeful than yesterday. Naya is propped up on pillows, sipping water from a clay cup. Her color is better, the grayish tinge gone, replaced by a healthy warmth. She smiles when she sees Amara, a shy but genuine expression. Zakir stands near the window, and he turns as Amara enters, relief evident on his face. "Good morning, healer Amara. As you can see, my daughter improves by the hour." Amara moves to the bedside, setting down her satchel. "That is wonderful to see. May I examine you, princess?" Naya nods. "It does not hurt as much today. The paste is still there, but it feels warm, not burning. That is a good sign." Amara carefully lifts the dressing and examines the area. The swelling is nearly gone. The skin shows signs of healing, the body's natural recovery taking over now that the infection has been drawn out. She applies fresh paste, though a much thinner layer this time, and replaces the dressing. "You are healing beautifully. In another day or two, you will not need the paste anymore. Just clean bandages and rest." Naya's smile widens. "Father says I was very sick, that I could have died, but you saved me." Amara meets the child's eyes. "You saved yourself by being strong. I only helped your body remember how to heal." Naya considers this, then nods as if it makes perfect sense. "Will you come back tomorrow? I would like that. Of course I will. I want to make sure you heal completely." "Good. Then we can be friends." The simple statement, delivered with a child's sincerity, touches something in Amara's chest. She smiles. "I would be honored to be your friend, princess." Zakir watches this exchange with an expression Amara cannot quite read. When she finishes and stands, he gestures toward the door. "Walk with me? There is something I wish to discuss." Amara nods, though unease prickles along her spine. They leave Naya in the care of a nursemaid and step out into the corridor. Zakir leads her not through the palace interior, but out onto a wide balcony that overlooks the city and the desert beyond. The sun is fully up now, blazing in a sky so blue it seems unreal. The heat is already building, but here on the balcony a breeze provides some relief. Zakir leans against the stone railing, looking out at the vista. "I wanted to thank you again," he begins, "for everything you have done. You arrived in the middle of my greatest fear, and you brought hope back into that room. My daughter lives because of you." Amara stands beside him, her shawl clutched tight around her shoulders. "I am glad I could help." Zakir glances at her, and his eyes are sharp, assessing. "There is something different about you today. I sense it." A change. Amara's heart skips. She considers lying, brushing off the observation, but something in his directness makes her feel that dishonesty would be disrespectful. When she speaks, her voice is quiet. "You spoke yesterday of marks, of the totem's choosing. I woke this morning to find." She hesitates, then slowly loosens her shawl, letting it fall enough to reveal her left shoulder. The mark of the winged cheetah gleams in the sunlight, its golden lines seeming to shimmer with life. Zakir's eyes widen. He takes a step closer, staring at the mark with an expression of awe. The winged cheetah, he breathes, one of the sacred totems. Amara, do you understand what this means? Amara shakes her head, pulling the shawl back up, suddenly self-conscious. I do not know what it means. I do not know why I was chosen. I am just ... She trails off, unable to finish the sentence. Zakir turns to face her fully. You keep saying you are just a healer, just ordinary, but the totems do not make mistakes. The wind cheetah represents speed, adaptability, healing that comes swiftly when needed most. You embody these qualities, whether you see it or not. Yesterday you arrived at the precise moment you were needed. You adapted to an unfamiliar situation, worked quickly and surely, and healed my daughter when no one else could. That is not coincidence. That is the totems acting through you. Amara feels dizzy with the weight of his words. But what am I supposed to do? I do not want power or attention. I just want to help people. Then continue doing that, Zakir says gently. But know that you are no longer alone. Those who bear marks are connected, part of a network that spans this world and protects it from threats most people never see. There are others like you, scattered across the territories. Some serve as advisors, warriors, scholars. Some, like you, are healers. You will meet them in time, and you will learn what your mark truly means, what gifts the wind cheetah has granted you. Gifts? Amara touches the mark through her clothing. What gifts? Zakir smiles. That you will have to discover for yourself. Each mark is unique, but typically they grant enhanced abilities related to the totem's nature. For me, the solar lion grants strength, resilience, the ability to inspire loyalty. For you, the winged cheetah might grant swiftness of hand and mind, enhanced perception of illness, perhaps even the ability to move with supernatural speed when healing is urgently needed. You will feel it when the time comes. Amara does not know whether to feel excited or terrified. She settles on both. What happens now? She asks. Do I stay here? Return to my home? How does this work? Zakir considers. That is your choice. The palace would welcome you. You could become the royal physician, have access to resources, to training. But I sense you are not one who thrives in courts and politics. Am I wrong? Amara shakes her head. I belong in the streets of Kemara, among the people I have always served. I do not think I would do well here, despite the comforts. I understand. Then return to your home, continue your work. But know that you have allies now. If you ever need anything at all, you need only send word. And I would ask one thing of you. What is that? I would like you to return periodically to check on Naya, to ensure her recovery is complete. And if you are willing, I would ask that you teach others your skills. The court physicians are learned, but they do not know the old ways, the remedies passed down through generations of healers like your family. That knowledge should not be lost. Amara thinks of her grandmother, of the long hours spent learning which plants ease pain, which draw out infection, which calm a fevered mind. To share that knowledge to ensure it continues beyond her own life feels right. I will do both, she agrees. I will check on Princess Naya, and I will teach what I know to those willing to learn. Zakir reaches out and clasps her shoulder, his hand warm and strong. Welcome, marked one, to a larger world. May the totems guide your path. Amara bows, feeling the weight and wonder of the moment. When she straightens, Zakir has already turned back to gaze at the city, his thoughts clearly moving to the 100 responsibilities that await him. She slips away quietly, making her way back through the palace to the guest chamber to gather her satchel. A servant appears to escort her out, but this time the journey feels different. She is not just a healer summoned in desperation. She is something more now, whether she fully understands it or not. When she finally steps out of the palace gates and into the streets of Kemara, the morning sun blazing down, she feels the mark pulse warmly on her shoulder, as if in approval. The city looks the same as always. Merchants calling out, children playing, the smells of spices and bread and dust. But she sees it differently now. Every person she passes is someone she might help. Every street holds the possibility of need. And somewhere beyond the horizon are others like her, marked by the totems, walking their own paths. She does not know what the future holds. She does not know what challenges or adventures await. But she knows one thing with absolute certainty. Her life has changed forever, and she will face whatever comes with the same compassion, determination, and courage that have always guided her. She is Amara, healer, marked by the wind cheetah, and her story is just beginning. The days that follow settle into a new rhythm. Amara returns to her small home in the poor quarter, back to the familiar comfort of her packed earth floors, her clay jars, her simple life, but nothing is truly the same. The mark on her shoulder is a constant reminder, warm against her skin, pulsing gently when she works. She notices differences in herself, subtle at first, then more pronounced. Her hands move faster when preparing medicines, her fingers seeming to know exactly where to go, what to mix, how much pressure to apply. When she examines patients, she sees more than before, not just symptoms, but the underlying patterns of illness, the body's energy flowing or blocked, the subtle signs that tell her what treatment is needed before she consciously reasons it out. It is as if her instincts have been amplified, her healing knowledge elevated to something beyond ordinary skill. Word spreads through the city, as word always does. The healer who saved the Sun King's daughter. People come from farther away now, seeking her help. She treats them all with the same care she always has, never turning anyone away, never asking for more payment than they can afford. But she notices that her success rate has improved. Patients recover faster. Infections clear more quickly. Fevers break sooner. She tells herself it is just increased experience, better technique. But deep down, she knows it is the mark, the gift of the wind cheetah flowing through her work. True to her word, she returns to the palace once every few days to check on Naya. The princess recovers completely, her energy returning, her laughter filling the healing chamber. They do become friends, in the way that a child and adult can be friends, with Naya asking endless questions about healing and plants, and the city beyond the palace walls, and Amara answering with patience and honesty. Zakir is often present during these visits, and slowly Amara begins to see him not just as the Sun King, but as a person, a father who loves his daughter fiercely, a leader burdened by the weight of his responsibilities, a man who carries the expectations of an entire kingdom on his shoulders. One afternoon, as Naya naps after her examination, Zakir invites Amara to walk in the palace gardens. They stroll through carefully tended paths, where flowers bloom in defiance of the desert heat, watered by precious springs deep beneath the ground. Fountains burble. Shade trees provide relief from the sun. It is beautiful, a small oasis of green in a world of gold and brown. Zakir speaks as they walk. I have been thinking about what you said about teaching others your knowledge. I would like to establish a formal school here in Kemara, a place where healers can train, where the old knowledge and new techniques can be combined. Would you be willing to lead such an endeavor? Amara stops walking, surprised. Lead? I am not a teacher. I have no experience with such things. You are exactly what a teacher should be, Zakir counters. You have knowledge, skill, and most importantly, you have compassion. You see healing not as a transaction, but as a sacred duty. That is what students need to learn, not just which herbs to use, but why we heal, what it means to serve others. Think about it. You would not have to abandon your work in the city. We could arrange a schedule that allows you to do both. And imagine the impact. Dozens of skilled healers trained in your methods, spreading out across the territories, bringing relief to places that have never had access to proper medical care. The vision he paints is compelling. Amara has always believed that healing should be available to everyone, not just the wealthy who can afford court physicians. A school could make that possible. But the responsibility feels enormous. I need time to consider, she says finally. This is not a decision I can make lightly. Of course, Zakir agrees. Take all the time you need. But know that I believe in you, Marked One. The totems chose you for a reason. Perhaps this is part of that reason. They walk in silence for a while, Amara's mind churning with possibilities and doubts. Eventually, they return to the healing chamber, where Naya is waking, stretching like a cat in the sun. She grins when she sees them. Did you have a nice walk? Yes, little light, Zakir says, ruffling her hair. Very nice. Naya looks at Amara. Will you tell me a story? You promised last time. Amara settles onto a cushion beside the bed. What kind of story would you like? One about the totems. About the winged cheetah, since that is your mark. Please? Amara glances at Zakir, who nods encouragingly. She takes a breath, reaching back into the stories her grandmother told her, tales passed down through generations. Very well. Long ago, before the Sun Kings, before the great cities, the world was wild and untamed. Humans lived in small tribes, struggling to survive the harsh desert, the fierce creatures, the endless heat. The totems watched from the spirit realm, great and powerful, but distant. They did not interfere in mortal affairs. But one day a young woman from a nomadic tribe fell ill with a terrible sickness. Her people did not know how to help her. They tried every remedy they knew, but she grew weaker. The tribe's elder, her grandmother, prayed to the spirits, begging for guidance. And the winged cheetah heard. Naya's eyes are wide, fascinated. What happened? The winged cheetah appeared to the grandmother in a dream. It spoke, saying that the woman could be saved, but only if someone was willing to run faster than the wind itself to retrieve a rare flower that grew only in the deepest part of the desert, in a place called the Valley of Echoes. This flower bloomed for only one night each year, and that night was fast approaching. The grandmother was old and could not make such a journey, so she asked for a volunteer from the tribe. Many offered, but the winged cheetah tested each one and found them wanting. Some were fast but reckless. Some were careful but slow. Some were strong but lacked compassion. Until a young man stepped forward. He was not the fastest runner, not the strongest warrior, but he had a good heart, and he loved the sick woman, for she was his sister. The winged cheetah looked into his heart and saw his sincerity. Very well, the totem said. I will grant you my swiftness, but only for this one journey. Use it wisely." The young man set out that very night, and as he ran, he felt the power of the wind cheetah fill him. His legs moved faster than they ever had, his feet barely touching the sand. He ran through the night and into the next day, covering distances that would normally take weeks. He reached the Valley of Echoes just as the sun set and the rare flower began to bloom. He picked it carefully, thanking the desert for its gift, and then ran back, even faster than before, racing against time. He arrived at his tribe's camp as dawn broke, exhausted but triumphant. The grandmother prepared a medicine from the flower, and the young man's sister drank it. Within hours her fever broke. Within days she was well. The wind cheetah appeared once more to the young man. "You have proven yourself," the totem said. "You ran not for glory or reward, but out of love and duty. From this day forward, you and your descendants will carry my mark. You will be healers and protectors, swift to answer when help is needed, and so it has been ever since. Those marked by the wind cheetah are chosen because they embody these qualities: speed when it matters, compassion that drives action, and the willingness to go to great lengths to help others." Naya claps her hands together. "That is a wonderful story." "Is it true?" Amara smiles. "All stories carry truth, even if the details change with each telling. The important part is the message, that healing is not just about knowledge, but about heart." Naya nods seriously. "You have both. That is why you saved me." Amara reaches out and squeezes the girl's hand gently. "And you had the strength to survive. Never forget that." Zakir, who has been listening quietly, speaks up. "That story reminds me of something my father once told me. He said that leadership and healing are not so different. Both require seeing what others need, acting swiftly when necessary, and caring deeply about the outcome." I think he was right. Amara looks at him, considering. "I suppose there is truth in that. A kingdom is like a body, in a way. It needs all its parts to work together to stay healthy." Zakir nods. "And when one part suffers, the whole suffers. That is why what you do matters so much, Amara. You heal individuals, yes, but in doing so, you heal the community. Each person you restore to health strengthens the whole." Their philosophical discussion is interrupted by a servant entering with news. "Your Majesty, there is a situation in the lower city that requires your attention. A dispute over water rights has escalated." Zakir sighs, the weight of responsibility settling back onto his shoulders. Duty calls. He looks at Naya. "I must go, little light." "Amara will stay with you a while longer." Naya waves. "Go, father, I will be good." Zakir kisses her forehead, then nods to Amara before striding out, every inch the Sun King once more. Amara stays for another hour, talking with Naya about simpler things, favorite foods, the gardens, a bird the princess saw from her window. When she finally takes her leave, Naya makes her promise to return soon, and Amara gives that promise gladly. As she walks back through the palace toward the exit, she turns a corner and nearly collides with someone. She steps back quickly, apologizing, then freezes. The person she has bumped into is a woman, perhaps 40 years old, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that seem to hold the night sky within them. And on her collarbone, visible above the neckline of her dark robe, is a mark, a panther, sleek and shadowed, its form almost seeming to blend with the skin around it. The night panther. Another marked one. The woman smiles, a knowing expression. So you are the new bearer, the wind cheetah's choice. I am Selene, marked by the night panther. I have been hoping to meet you. Amara's surprise must show on her face, because Selene laughs softly. Do not worry, I am not here to test you or judge you. I simply wanted to introduce myself. We are rare, those of us who bear marks, and we should know each other. Amara finds her voice. I am honored to meet you. I did not know there were others in Kemara. There are a few of us scattered throughout the region, Selene says. We do not often advertise our nature for various reasons, but we watch for new marks, new members of our small fellowship. The Sun King informed me of your arrival. He thought we should meet. What is your role? Amara asks, curious. I am a scholar and mystic, Selene replies. I study the old texts, the histories, the prophecies. The night panther grants me sight beyond sight, the ability to perceive what is hidden, to walk between the world of light and shadow. I serve as an advisor to the Sun King on matters spiritual and mystical. Amara absorbs this. So each mark grants different abilities, different roles. Exactly. The solar lion grants leadership and strength suited to kings and generals. The night panther grants wisdom and insight suited to scholars and mystics. The wind cheetah grants swiftness and healing suited to those like you. There are others, the stellar leopard, which grants connection to the cosmos and visions of possible futures. The fire caracal, which grants fierce protection and the ability to channel destructive power when necessary. Each serves a purpose in maintaining balance. Amara thinks about this. Balance against what? Selene's expression grows serious. There are threats to this world that most people never see. Creatures of pure shadow that emerge from the deep desert, seeking to corrupt and destroy. Rogue mystics who twist the old magic for selfish ends. Natural disasters that require coordination and power to mitigate. We, the marked ones, stand as guardians. Not all of us fight directly, but we all contribute. You, for instance, heal. That is a form of protection, keeping people strong and healthy, able to resist the subtle influences of darkness. Amara had never thought of her work in such terms, but she supposes it makes sense. And you think there will come a time when I must do more than heal common ailments. Selene tilts her head, her eyes distant, as if seeing something far away. I do not know the future with certainty. The paths branch and shift with every choice made. But I sense that your marking was not merely to enhance what you already do. The totems mark people when they are needed for something significant. Keep your awareness open, Amara. Trust your instincts. When the moment comes, you will know. The cryptic words leave Amara unsettled, but before she can ask more, Selene steps back. I must return to my work. But I wanted you to know that you are not alone. If you ever need guidance, seek me out. The head archivist knows how to reach me. Amara nods. Thank you. I appreciate that. Selene smiles once more, then turns and walks away, her dark robes flowing behind her like liquid shadow. Amara watches her go, feeling as if the world has expanded yet again, revealing layers she never knew existed. She leaves the palace deep in thought, the conversation with Selene echoing in her mind. Guardians, threats from the deep desert, significant purposes. It all sounds so grand, so removed from the life she knows. Yet she cannot deny the mark on her shoulder, the changes in her abilities, the strange sense that she is being prepared for something. The weeks pass. Amara continues her work, seeing patients, preparing medicines, visiting Naya. She also begins tentatively exploring her abilities, testing the limits of what the mark allows. She discovers that when she focuses her intention, her hands can move with startling speed, preparing complex remedies in half the time it used to take. When she concentrates on a patient, she can sense their condition with uncanny accuracy, knowing exactly where the problem lies. Once, when a child runs into the street in front of a cart, Amara reacts without thinking, her body moving faster than conscious thought, pulling the child to safety before the wheels can reach him. The mother thanks her profusely, calling it a miracle. Amara knows it was the mark, the gift of the winged cheetah, responding to urgent need. She also begins teaching, informally at first. A young woman from the market quarter approaches her, asking to learn. Then a man who lost his wife to illness and wants to prevent others from suffering the same. Then 3 more. Amara takes them on, meeting in her small home, showing them how to identify plants, prepare remedies, diagnose conditions. She finds she enjoys teaching, sharing the knowledge that has been passed down to her. Her students are eager and respectful, and she sees in them the potential to spread healing far beyond what she could do alone. Perhaps Zakir was right about the school. Perhaps it is time to think bigger. One evening, as the sun sets and the sky turns shades of orange and purple, Amara sits outside her home, enjoying the brief coolness that comes with dusk. A figure approaches from the street, moving with purpose. As he draws closer, she recognizes the young guard who first summoned her to the palace. Though he looks more mature now, more confident, he bows. "Healer Amara, the Sun King requests your presence. There is a matter of some urgency." Amara's heart sinks. Is it Naya? Has she taken ill again? "No," the guard says quickly, seeing her concern. "The princess is well. This is a different matter. Please, come with me." Amara grabs her satchel, which she keeps always ready, and follows. As they walk through the darkening streets toward the palace, she asks, "Can you tell me what this is about?" The guard hesitates, then speaks quietly. "A caravan arrived today from the eastern territories. One of the travelers is very ill, and the condition is unlike anything the court physicians have seen. The Sun King hoped you might have insight." Amara nods, her mind already shifting into healer mode. "Tell me the symptoms." The guard recounts what he knows. High fever, delirium, dark veins visible beneath the skin, a strange lethargy that makes the patient seem half asleep, even when conscious. Amara listens carefully, searching her memory for anything that matches. Nothing comes immediately to mind, which worries her. If the court physicians are stumped and she does not recognize the symptoms, this could be serious indeed. They reach the palace and are escorted not to the usual healing chamber, but to a section of the palace Amara has never seen before, a quarantine area, separate from the main building, designed to isolate contagious patients. Smart precaution. Inside, the room is stark and functional. A bed, a table with medical supplies, guards posted at the door. And on the bed lies a man, middle-aged, his skin pale and clammy, dark veins spidering across his arms and neck like ink beneath the skin. His breathing is shallow. His eyes are closed, but his lips move as if he is speaking to someone in a dream. Zakir stands near the window, his face grim. Beside him is Selene, the night panther mystic, her expression troubled. Zakir turns as Amara enters. "Thank you for coming. I apologize for the late summons, but this situation is concerning." Amara approaches the bed, examining the patient without touching him yet. "Have the physicians determined anything?" Zakir shakes his head. They are baffled. The fever does not respond to normal treatments. The dark veins appeared suddenly, spreading from his chest outward, and his delirium is strange. He speaks of shadows, of something calling him into the desert. Selene steps forward. "I have examined him mystically. There is a taint on his spirit, something foreign, something dark. I believe he has been touched by a shadow entity from the deep desert." Amara looks at her sharply. "Shadow entity?" Selene nods. "They are rare, but they exist. Creatures born from the absence of light, from the places where the sun's power does not reach. They feed on life force, draining vitality slowly. If left untreated, this man will die, and the entity may attempt to spread to others." Amara feels a chill. "How is such a thing treated?" "I do not know," Selene admits. "This is beyond my knowledge. The old texts mention shadow entities, but remedies are vague. It requires a healer's touch, they say, combined with light and heat, to drive out the cold darkness." Amara looks at the mark on her shoulder, visible above her clothing. She feels it pulse, warm and insistent, as if the wind cheetah is urging her forward. She has never faced anything like this, but she knows she must try. "I will need certain supplies," she says, her voice steady, despite her inner uncertainty. Zakir gestures to a servant hovering near the door. "Whatever she needs, provide it immediately." Amara lists ingredients: solar salts mined from the brightest parts of the desert, oils infused with sunlight, herbs that carry heat and energy. The servant hurries off. While they wait, Amara studies the patient more closely, feeling the unnatural cold emanating from his body, seeing the way the dark veins pulse slowly like a secondary heartbeat. This is a corruption, a sickness not of the body alone, but of the spirit. She will need to treat both. The supplies arrive. Amara works quickly, preparing a paste similar to what she used on Naya, but with different ingredients, focused on heat and light rather than drawing out infection. As she mixes, she prays not to any specific entity, but to the totems, to the desert, to the power that flows through all living things. "Let this work. Let me be the vessel for healing." She approaches the bed and begins applying the paste to the dark veins, starting at the man's chest where they seem to originate. The moment the paste touches his skin, the man convulses, his eyes flying open, though they do not see the room. He screams, a sound of terror and pain, and the dark veins flare, pulsing violently. Amara does not stop. She spreads the paste along each visible vein, covering them completely, her hands moving with a supernatural speed granted by her mark. Zakir steps forward as if to intervene, but Selene holds up a hand, stopping him. Let her work. This is what she was marked for. As Amara works, she feels something strange happening. Heat builds beneath her palms, not from the paste alone, but from within her, from the mark on her shoulder. The wind cheetah's power flows through her, golden light that races along her arms and into the patient. The dark veins begin to recede, shrinking back toward the chest, resisting but unable to withstand the combined force of the remedy and the sacred power. The man's screams fade to whimpers, then to gasps, then to silence. The room holds its breath. Amara places both hands over the man's heart, closing her eyes, focusing all her will and energy into one final push. The mark on her shoulder blazes with warmth, and she feels something break inside the patient, a barrier of darkness shattering. The dark veins vanish completely. The man takes a deep, shuddering breath, and his eyes open, truly seeing for the first time. He looks up at Amara, confused and weak. Where am I? Amara sits back, exhausted, her hands trembling. You are safe. You were ill, but you are healing now. Rest. The man's eyes close, and this time his sleep is natural, peaceful. Amara stands, swaying slightly, and Zakir is there, catching her elbow, steadying her. You did it, he says, awe in his voice. You drove out the shadow. Amara looks at her hands, still glowing faintly with golden light. The light fades as she watches, leaving her ordinary hands once more. I did not know I could do that. I did not know the mark held such power. Selene approaches, her expression one of deep respect. Now you understand. The totems do not mark for simple reasons. They mark when the world needs defenders, when darkness threatens. You are more than a healer, Amara. You are a guardian. The word echoes in Amara's mind. Guardian. She looks at the sleeping patient, at Zakir and Selene, watching her with expectation and hope. She thinks of her quiet life, her small home, her simple work, and she realizes that life is gone, transformed irreversibly by the mark and the responsibilities that come with it. She feels grief for what she has lost, but also a strange exhilaration. This is her purpose. This is why the Wind Cheetah chose her. She is ready. In the days following the Shadow Entity incident, Amara's world shifts yet again. Word spreads among those who know of such things that a new guardian has emerged, one marked by the Wind Cheetah, one capable of facing spiritual corruption as well as physical illness. Zakir formally offers her a position as both royal healer and mystical guardian, a role that has never existed before in Kemara's history. After much consideration, she accepts on the condition that she maintains her home in the poor quarter and continues to serve all people, not just the nobility. Zakir agrees without hesitation. The healing school becomes a reality. A building is constructed near the palace, designed specifically for teaching, with rooms for lectures, herb gardens for practical learning, and living quarters for students from distant regions. Amara is named head instructor, and she recruits other healers she respects to assist in teaching. The first class of students numbers 20, young men and women, from all walks of life united by a desire to help others. Amara finds immense satisfaction in watching them grow, seeing her knowledge multiplied and spread. She also begins training with Selene and the few other marked ones in the region. There are only 5 in total, Zakir with the Solar Lion, Selene with the Night Panther, a warrior named Kale, who bears the mark of the Fire Caracal, a wandering mystic called Theron marked by the Stellar Leopard, and Amara herself with the Wind Cheetah. Together they form an informal council, meeting periodically to discuss threats, to share knowledge, to coordinate their efforts to protect the territories. Amara learns about the larger world beyond Kemara, about ancient ruins that hold power and danger, about the cycles of light and shadow that govern the world's spiritual balance. She trains not just her healing abilities, but also the defensive capabilities her mark grants, the ability to move at blurring speed when needed, to channel purifying light against darkness, to sense corruption before it fully manifests. Months pass. Amara saves more lives, trains more students, faces more challenges. Some are mundane, outbreaks of fever, injuries from accidents, the everyday suffering that has always been part of a healer's work. But others are extraordinary, a possessed artifact discovered in the desert that drives people to madness until she purifies it with her light, a shadow creature that attacks a caravan and must be driven off with combined efforts of all the marked ones. An ancient curse on a family bloodline that requires both her healing knowledge and Selene's mystical insight to break. Through it all, her friendship with Naya deepens. The princess grows strong and healthy, and she shows an interest in healing that delights Amara. She begins teaching Naya simple remedies, age-appropriate lessons that satisfy the girl's curiosity without overwhelming her. Zakir watches these interactions with approval, and Amara senses he hopes his daughter might one day follow a path of service rather than just privilege. One evening, nearly a year after the day Amara first received her mark, she stands on a rooftop in the palace, looking out over Kemara as the sun sets. The city glows in the dying light, beautiful and alive. Selene joins her, moving silently, as always. "A year ago you were just a healer," the mystic says. "Now look at you, guardian, teacher, friend to a sun king. How do you feel?" Amara considers the question, overwhelmed sometimes, grateful always. "I still do not fully understand why I was chosen, but I trust that there is a purpose." "Purpose is what we make," Selene says. "The totems give us tools, abilities, opportunities. But what we do with them is our choice. You chose compassion, service, growth. That is why the mark shines so brightly on you." Amara touches her shoulder, feeling the familiar warmth. "I just hope I can live up to what is expected." "You already are," Selene assures her. "Every life you save, every student you train, every moment of darkness you push back, you are living up to it. Do not doubt yourself." They stand in companionable silence, watching as the stars begin to emerge in the darkening sky, scattered diamonds across the velvet night. Somewhere in the desert, the totems walk their eternal paths. Somewhere other marked ones face their own challenges. And here, in this moment, Amara feels connected to all of it, part of a web of light and life and purpose that stretches across the world. The year continues. Seasons change in the desert, though the changes are subtle. Slightly cooler nights, winds that shift direction, rains that come in brief, precious bursts. Amara's students graduate, and most of them go on to establish their own practices in towns and villages throughout the territories, spreading the knowledge she has given them. New students arrive to take their place. The cycle continues. The marked ones face more threats, some minor, some dire. Kale, the fire caracal bearer, becomes a close ally, his fierce protective nature complementing Amara's gentler approach. Theron, the stellar leopard mystic, visits occasionally, bringing visions and warnings from the stars, guidance that helps them prepare for coming challenges. They function as a team, each member vital, each contributing their unique strengths. Amara also deepens her relationship with the desert itself. She takes long walks beyond the city walls, meditating among the dunes, feeling the presence of the totems more clearly in those wild spaces. She visits ancient ruins, places where the first Sun Kings walked, where the covenant between humans and totems was forged. She learns the old songs, the prayers, the rituals. She becomes not just a healer of bodies, but a healer of spirits, of connections, of the broken bonds that sometimes form between people and the sacred powers that watch over them. She helps those who have lost their faith rediscover it. She guides those who feel purposeless toward their calling. She becomes, in the truest sense, a servant of the light. 2 years after her marking, a major event occurs. Selene, using her mystical sight, perceives a great darkness gathering in the deep desert, far beyond the reach of any city or settlement. It is a convergence of shadow entities, a rare and catastrophic occurrence that happens perhaps once in a century. If left unchecked, this darkness will spread, consuming oases, corrupting trade routes, eventually threatening even the great cities. The marked ones must venture into the deep desert and confront this darkness at its source. It is the greatest challenge they have faced, and they all know that not everyone may return. Zakir cannot leave Kemara, his duties as Sun King keeping him bound to the city, but he sends Kale, his most trusted warrior, in his stead. Selene, Amara, Kale, and Theron set out together, a small party against a vast threat. The journey into the deep desert is arduous. They travel for days, moving beyond all mapped territories, into regions where the sun beats down with merciless intensity, and the nights are so cold that water freezes in their flasks. They see wonders, crystalline formations that sing in the wind, ancient skeletons of creatures long extinct, mirages that show glimpses of other times and places. They also face dangers, venomous serpents, collapsing dunes, sandstorms that threaten to strip the flesh from their bones. But they press on, guided by Theron's visions and Selene's mystical sense. Finally, they reach the place, a canyon carved deep into the earth, its walls black stone that seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. At the bottom of the canyon, they see the darkness, a roiling mass of shadow, pulsing and shifting, dotted with hundreds of glowing eyes. Shadow entities, all gathered in one place, feeding off each other's presence, growing stronger. Amara feels fear, cold and sharp, but she also feels the mark on her shoulder blazing with heat, with readiness. This is why she was chosen. This is the moment. The 4 marked ones descend into the canyon. Kale leads, his fire caracal mark glowing like embers, his blade drawn and wreathed in flames. Selene follows, her night panther mark allowing her to move through the shadows themselves, becoming half invisible, striking from angles the entities cannot predict. Theron calls upon the power of the stellar leopard, and light from distant stars beams down into the canyon, illuminating the darkness, giving the others clear sight. And Amara, she becomes the heart of their formation, her hands glowing with golden light, her speed allowing her to dart between her companions, healing wounds as they are inflicted, purifying corruption before it can take hold, channeling the power of the wind cheetah to create gusts that scatter the shadow entities, preventing them from massing. The battle is fierce and chaotic. The entities shriek sounds that scrape against the soul. They lash out with tendrils of darkness, and where those tendrils touch, flesh chills and vitality drains. Kale is struck and nearly falters, but Amara is there instantly, her light driving back the taint, restoring his strength. Selene is surrounded, but Theron's starlight breaks the encirclement, and she slips free. They fight as one, a unit bound by trust and purpose. The turning point comes when Amara realizes what they must do. The shadow entities are individuals, yes, but they are also connected, drawing power from a central source deeper in the canyon. If they can reach that source and destroy it, the entities will scatter, weakened and leaderless. She shouts this insight to the others, and they adjust their strategy. Kale and Theron create a path burning and blasting through the mass of shadows. Celine runs interference, her blades flashing, her panther mark allowing her to phase through attacks. And Amara, she runs. Faster than she has ever run, her body a blur, the wind cheetah's power fully unleashed. She reaches the center of the canyon, where a pool of absolute darkness lies, a wound in the earth itself, a place where light has never touched. She does not hesitate. She leaps into the pool, plunging into cold so intense it steals her breath. But she does not let the cold stop her. She reaches deep within herself, calling on every ounce of power the mark has granted her, and she releases it all at once. Golden light explodes from her body, from the mark on her shoulder, filling the pool, spreading through the canyon, a nova of purifying energy. The shadow entities scream and dissolve. The pool of darkness evaporates like water under the desert sun, and Amara collapses, spent, barely conscious. Her companions rush to her side. Kale lifts her from the ground, and Celine checks her pulse, her breathing. She is alive, but the exertion has taken a massive toll. They carry her out of the canyon, back toward civilization, taking turns supporting her weight. It takes 3 days for her to fully regain consciousness, and when she does, she finds herself in a makeshift camp, her friends watching over her with relief and worry. "You did it," Theron says quietly. "The darkness is scattered. The deep desert is cleansed. You saved countless lives." Amara tries to sit up, but her body protests. She feels hollowed out, as if she poured too much of herself into that final burst of light. But slowly over the following days her strength returns. They make the long journey back to Kemara, arriving to a hero's welcome. Zakir personally greets them at the city gates, and when he sees Amara, weak but alive, he embraces her without concern for protocol. "You have done more than I could have hoped," he says. "Kemara and all the territories owe you a debt that can never be repaid." The celebration that follows is grand. Feasts, music, speeches honoring the marked ones who ventured into the deep desert and returned victorious. But Amara finds the attention overwhelming. She slips away from the festivities, returning to her small home in the poor quarter, seeking the familiar comfort of her simple space. She sits on the floor, surrounded by her clay jars and woven rugs, and she weeps. Not from sadness, but from release, from the weight of what she has endured, from the knowledge that she came close to giving everything. But she survived. She succeeded. And the world is safer because of it. A knock at her door interrupts her tears. She wipes her face and opens it to find Naya standing there, holding a small bundle wrapped in cloth. The princess is alone, which is unusual, but Amara is too tired to question it. She gestures for Naya to enter. "What brings you here, little light?" Naya holds out the bundle. "I made this for you. I wanted to give it to you before everyone else claimed your attention." Amara unwraps the cloth to reveal a small embroidered sash, worked with golden thread. On it is the image of a running cheetah, beautifully rendered despite being clearly the work of a child's hands. It is one of the most precious gifts Amara has ever received. Thank you, Naya. This is beautiful. I will treasure it always. Good, Naya says, smiling. Because you are a hero, and heroes should have things to remind them that people care about them. Amara kneels down, pulling the girl into a gentle embrace. You are wise beyond your years. Naya hugs her back fiercely. When I am older, I want to be like you. I want to help people. Amara pulls back, looking into the princess's eyes. Then I will teach you everything I know, and someday you will be an even greater healer than I am. Naya beams, and in that moment, Amara sees the future. A girl who will grow into a woman of compassion and strength, who will carry on the legacy of healing, who will perhaps bear her own mark one day. The thought fills her with hope. The years that follow are peaceful, relatively speaking. The shadow threat has been pushed back, and the territories enjoy a period of stability and growth. Amara continues her work, now aided by dozens of trained healers spread across the land. The school flourishes, gaining recognition as a center of medical excellence. Students come from distant regions, even from beyond the borders of Zakir's territories, seeking the knowledge taught there. Amara writes texts, compiling her knowledge and her grandmother's knowledge into written form so it will never be lost. These texts are copied and distributed, becoming foundational documents for healers everywhere. She also mentors Naya, who shows genuine talent and dedication. By the time the princess is 14, she is skilled enough to assist in complex treatments, and Amara proudly declares her a junior healer. Zakir watches his daughter's growth with pride, and he credits Amara with shaping Naya into a person who cares about more than power and privilege. The other marked ones remain close allies and friends. Kale becomes captain of the city guard, using his fire caracal abilities to protect Kamara from both mundane and mystical threats. Celine continues her scholarly work, delving deeper into the old mysteries, uncovering secrets that help them understand the world and its dangers better. Thurin travels constantly, his connection to the cosmos pulling him to different places where he is needed, but he returns periodically to share his visions and guidance. Together, they form a network of protection and wisdom that keeps the territories safe. And Amara, she finds contentment. Not the simple contentment of her old life, but a deeper satisfaction born from knowing she is living her purpose, using her gifts to their fullest, making a difference that ripples outward in ways she cannot fully measure. She is no longer just a healer from a poor quarter. She is Amara, marked by the winged cheetah, guardian of the light, teacher, friend, hero, and she embraces all of it. 20 years after she first received her mark, Amara stands once more on the palace rooftop, looking out over Kamara. The city has grown, prospered, become even more beautiful, but the desert beyond remains unchanged, eternal, and timeless. Naya, now a woman of 27, joins her. The princess has become a skilled healer in her own right, and she works alongside Amara in the school, teaching the next generation. They stand in comfortable silence, watching the sun set, painting the sky in shades of fire and gold. Eventually Naya speaks. Do you ever regret it? The mark, the responsibilities, everything that changed? Amara considers the question. She thinks of the girl she was, the simple life she led, the peace of anonymity. But she also thinks of every life saved, every student taught, every moment of darkness pushed back. She thinks of friendships forged in fire, of purpose discovered, of the knowledge that she matters, that her existence makes the world better. No, she says finally, I do not regret it. I was chosen for a reason, and I have tried to honor that choice with every action. That is all any of us can do. Naya nods. I hope I will be chosen someday. I hope the totems will see me as worthy. Amara smiles. Whether you are marked or not, you are already worthy. You have dedicated your life to service, to compassion, to healing. That is what matters. The mark is just a symbol. A real power comes from the heart. They watch as the sun dips below the horizon, and the stars begin to emerge, countless points of light in the vast darkness. And in that moment Amara feels at peace, knowing that her story, while perhaps nearing its end, has become part of something larger, something eternal. The wind cheetah chose well, and she has lived a life worthy of that choice. As the final light fades and night fully claims the sky, Amara turns to Naya. Come, we have patients to check on, students to review, work that never truly ends. Naya grins. Lead on, Master Amara. And together, teacher and student, marked one and aspirant, they descend from the rooftop and return to the work that defines them, that fulfills them, that connects them to the long lineage of healers stretching back through time and forward into the unknowable future. The story of Amara, the healer who was marked by the wind cheetah, continues, not with grand battles or dramatic revelations, but with the quiet, steady work of healing, of teaching, of service. And that, perhaps, is the greatest heroism of all, to live each day with purpose, to touch lives with compassion, to leave the world better than you found it. This is the legacy of Amara. This is the power of the marked. This is the heart of Solaris legends. And so we come to the end of this tale, though the story itself continues beyond these words, beyond this moment, into the days and years that follow. Amara's life is a testament to the truth that destiny does not always arrive with thunder and fanfare. Sometimes it knocks quietly on the door at dawn, wearing the face of need, offering not glory but purpose. And for those wise enough to answer, brave enough to accept, the reward is a life of meaning, of connection, of light that pushes back the darkness one act of compassion at a time. May we all be so blessed. May we all choose as wisely. May we all run as swiftly when the call comes, carrying within us the spirit of the wind cheetah, the courage to heal, the strength to serve, the grace to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. This is the way of the marked. This is the path of the guardian. This is the heart of Solaris legends, where every ending is also a beginning, where every sunset promises another dawn, where every story told becomes part of the eternal song sung by the desert itself, carried on the wind, written in the stars, remembered by those who come after. And now, dear viewer, our tale draws to a close. But the world of Solaris legends continues, with many more stories waiting to be told, many more heroes waiting to be discovered, many more adventures waiting to unfold beneath the golden sun of this vast and mystical desert realm. If this story moved you, if Amara's journey inspired you, if you found yourself drawn into this world of sand and sun, of totems and marks, of healing and heroism, then share your thoughts in the comments below. What moment resonated most deeply with you? Which character would you like to see more of? What other tales from Solaris legends would you like to explore? Your engagement, your passion, your curiosity fuels the creation of these stories and helps shape the future of this channel. And if you have not yet subscribed to Solaris Legends, now is the perfect time to join our community of explorers and dreamers. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new adventure. Together we will journey across the golden dunes, delve into ancient ruins, discover the secrets of the totems, and witness the rise of new heroes marked by destiny. Thank you for spending this time with us, for allowing us to share Amara's story with you, for being part of the ever-growing world of Solaris Legends. Until next time, may the sun light your path, may the wind carry your hopes, may the desert sing your name, and may you always have the courage to answer when destiny comes knocking at your door. This is Solaris Legends, where every story is an adventure, every adventure is a legend, and every legend begins with a single step into the unknown. We will see you in the next tale. Until then, stay curious, stay compassionate, and stay ready for whatever wonders the desert may reveal.